that we know the importance of money, but we don't talk enough about it.
Real estate is one of the most trusted means in and out where people can build wealth and generational wealth.
By 2026, if the projections become reality, we'll see more consumer confidence and we'll see more people get into the market. It's good for buyers, but it's also great for sellers as well.
I have family friends who bought a house in Buena Vista. We bought it for 400,000 in about 2 years plus. The house was already worth about 650,000.
Whoa! In retracing your steps, sometimes retracing your step is painful. Yes. You may have to downsize from that house. Do it.
What are the common mistakes that immigrants make when buying house, especially for first-time home buyers?
So thank you for that question, and I'm happy you started with my own case. So using myself, as a case study, I would say that one of the most common mistakes that so many immigrants make is
you cannot miss this episode though. It is power pack. Jim. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my safe space with Edna. I know you guys have missed our guests and host show, but you know what? I went back to plan better for you so that I can bring you something educative, tantalizing, sizzling, and all the works. Meanwhile, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm not going to blow you powder. I'm way over that by now. But guess what? Subscribe now. Click that button. Click that subscribe button and also that bell button so you get notified when I put up a new video. I cannot wait to dive into the discussion of today because it is something crucial, something very important, something that most Canadians or most immigrants go through, at some points in their lives, at every phase of their lives, especially when they just move in here. So before I spill the beans, have you also watched the previous episodes? I also introduced Tuesday Tea with Edna, where I bring you plenty gossip. Well, it's not gossip, but it's real life experience. So go binge watch on all of that, and then come back to this and have fun. Remember to share, comment, like. I love to read from you. I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say so that we can have that kind of communication that, makes things going. Please do not forget to subscribe and share to your loved ones, friends, enemies, everybody. All right. What do we have to talk about today? Mortgage and real estate. You're excited, right? I know the feeling. Because we don't want to buy a house now for this Canada. We all want to have our own safe space, right? Somewhere you can call your own, your home, your abode, your comfort zone. We want to have that at some point in time in our lives. And I'm no expert at this, but I'm groomed and, enlightened enough to know that I need to bring those who are seasoned experts in this particular topic so that we can brainstorm, we can talk about things that are real, we can talk about things that are, authentic. And so you can also have informed information or whatever you call it, so you can make an informed decision. So without further ado, let me introduce my guests. First is Lara Aloba. If you are in Winnipeg and you don't know Lara Aloba, I don't know. Lara Aloba is an award-winning realtor based in Winnipeg with eXp Realty and the co-founder of Aloba Alliance Real Estate. Lara Aloba has built a reputation for helping families and investors buy, sell, and build homes while making real estate simple and accessible. She's also a passionate community builder and entrepreneur, known for founding the Melanin Impact Network to empower Black women and immigrants in business. Her mission is all about helping people, especially immigrants, build wealth, create opportunities, and truly feel at home in Canada. Please join me to welcome Lara Aloba to the show. Lara Aloba, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're welcome to my safe space with
Thank
Edna.
you. Thank you for the opportunity for inviting me here.
Pleased to meet you. Next is my amazing guest. You know what? I actually thought I had met Jennifer before, like in real life. I went to a particular conference, and the person speaking alongside myself on the panel was also Jennifer. So I thought, okay, this is Jennifer. And then I came, we met, shortly before the show today, and I was like, whoa, is this another Jennifer? Like, seriously? So honestly, you would want to meet her. You want to meet her. She's not just beautiful, but the way she talks, you know that there is confidence in that speech. Jennifer Umakalu, a licensed mortgage broker based in Canada with over a decade of experience in financial services. Originally from Nigeria, Jennifer holds an MBA from a prestigious Lagos business school, where she developed a strong foundation in leadership, strategy, and customer experience. Today, she's passionate about helping newcomers and families navigate Canada's mortgage system with confidence. I said it with confidence. Simplifying money credit and home ownership through education and empowerment. Please welcome with me, Jennifer Umakalu. How are you doing, Jennifer?
I'm good. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for inviting me. This is fun. This sounds like fun.
It's a pleasure having you both on the show. And I know that having you both is gold, because imagine having a real estate and a mortgage. What else are you wanting for now? You don't need anything again. Without further ado, let's go right into it. Before we dive in, I want you both to, and I mean, at any point, anybody can start, but let me start with you, Jennifer. What drew you into mortgage broker? Because I mean, I've tried to understand that mortgage thing, it's not attractive. So what drew you into mortgage?
It's very simple. It's funny Lara is here as well, because initially, when I got here to Canada, first time, we have to backtrack many years ago. When I started working as a credit officer in a bank. I was many years ago. So that's how I started my banking career. I was in credit. So by the time I got to Canada, and we're talking more than 10 years later, and I was looking for where to pitch my tent, so to speak. Before I got here, I'd studied a bit about the real estate market. I'd seen videos from, there's this popular realtor, Jennifer McQueen. She'd really inspired me. So I knew that it was going to be real estate, but I didn't know where or what. And that's even how I met Lara. I saw her online, I reached out to her and I was like, tell me about this. And, it was like the road towards the realtor part of the business. But I found out very quickly that the financing part for buying a house is the most complicated part. And that's where our people, immigrants, especially from our side, who are used to cash-based stuff, right? And moving that credit, I just felt, okay, this is an opportunity for me. It wasn't just like to make money, and it's good, but it was also to help people not fall into the normal traps or that immigrants fall into. Like, if I could help one family at every time to get a house, in a way where they don't lose money, or it doesn't cost them much, or it's easier. You have someone speaking the language that you understand, right? Because when an immigrant is relating with somebody who doesn't understand our background, that we are cash based and all that, what they say might just fly over your head. You understand? But when you're talking to somebody that is from, not just from your community, but understands your background, your culture, your money habits, then that's how I got into it, right? And for me, it's very much a business, but it's also like a calling. I like to talk about money, because my experience in my life is that I have made mistakes with money. I have learned from my mistakes. I've learned from other people's mistakes. I've invested in myself to learn about money. So if I can share that knowledge with somebody else, and the person shares with somebody else, and I've helped somebody with my experience. And that's the journey here, really.
Oh, awesome. I see the attraction. You had a credit-based knowledge back from home.
Yeah.
And, Because I always wonder why money talks with Jen.
Yeah, but the money talks with Jen. That's a whole different. That's the financial literacy part of me. It stems really from my life's experiences. And if people stay with me as the channel grows, I'll share more about that. Because we undermine the importance. We don't undermine it. We know the importance of money, but we don't talk enough about it, right? There's this statistics that I can't remember the number now, but women would rather talk about their burial than talk about money. So for me, it's a personal pet project of mine. It's really a little different, but related to my mortgage business and all that. So yeah.
Awesome. To you, Lara, what attracted you to real estate?
So I would say right from when I was little, my dad is into real estate. I grew up in Ibadan, so he had his real estate company in Ibadan. So I always had that thing around houses and people buying and selling houses and renting houses. So that was just on the background. At the background. And then straight out when I finished law school, I just knew that my mind was set for real estate. So I practiced for about a year plus, but I was very miserable. And then when I got another job, it was with a real estate company. And that was where the interest grew. That was in Abuja. And I was doing real estate for about 8 years before we relocated back. We came into Canada in 2020. And I did a bit of property management here. It was more of rentals, but I just knew that my mind was set into the buying and selling and real estate aspect. The investment aspect of real estate. So I got my license. So for me, I've just always been passionate about getting people to see real estate as a tool to build wealth, and also especially for most of my clients are like immigrants like myself. And I make them to see real estate as a means of stability, because when you have a home, or even if it's not your own personal house, if it's a rental property, it's a symbol of stability, like you're settled, right? And then I also I want people to see real estate as a tool for them to build wealth, and also for them to build like a generational legacy, because real estate is one of the most trusted means, centuries and decades in and out, where people can build wealth and generational wealth. Yeah.
Awesome. Now I see the connection, because oftentimes you realize that people like immigrants come to Canada, and everybody just wants to go into where they feel there's money, or money is like, oh, people are doing real estate, let me go and do license, So you both had backgrounds that helped you transition wonderfully into it. Not to say that people who do not have backgrounds cannot transition, but it gives you an edge, because the interest is already there, the passion is already there, and then that helps you, grow successfully into it. Amazing. Let's look at the big picture. All right. The Canadian, and this for you, Lara, the Canadian real estate market has gone through so many dramatic shifts in the past few years. From your perspective, how has it evolved, and where do you see it heading?
Yeah, I think you're right. It has gone through so many ups and downs, especially during COVID. And then you had the very low interest rate, and we had the high interest rate. I think that where it's heading to right now is still the case of it being a very strong market, a very strong means of investment, because demand still exceeds supply. You have more demand for real estate. So I think it's on a good path, and hopefully so many of the government decisions would also be in favor of the market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Yeah. To add to that, like, where is it going to? I don't think we're stabilizing. So 2025, we're seeing rates go down. In September, there was just a decrease in rates. We are 2.50 right now. So with that, when rates decline like that, there is, more people are approved for larger mortgages, right? So there's that consumer confidence to say.
Let's go back. When rates decline, I need to emphasize on that. When rates decline, people are approved for larger mortgage.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It's a numbers thing. Yeah. So with that, ordinarily, if I wanted a house that would cost me 500,000 and the rates were high and I couldn't be approved for that. Once the rates goes down, I go to realtor and be like, now I'm qualified for that house. Then of course, then I can get into the market. So what I'm thinking is by 2026, like if the projections that, again, with projections, it's just projections. If projections continue, or rather, if the projections become reality, we'll see more consumer confidence and we'll see more people get into the market. It's good for buyers, but it's also great for sellers as well. So I think 2026 is, I think I think we're going to see a very good market.
Picture.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm going to stay with you on that, Jennifer. When it comes to buying houses, I can tell you that most immigrants could be novices in this area.
Yeah.
Not necessarily about real estate. I mean, we know the house where we like now.
Yeah.
We go to the house, we see the building, everybody wants something big, something roomy and all that. So maybe not so much as to choice of houses, right? But because you mentioned something, which is a very strong point, we come from a cash-based society.
Cash-based, yeah.
Cash down. You want to buy house,
Pay cash.
75 million, 200 million, drop your cash.
Yeah.
There's no mortgage where we are coming from.
You're right.
But, coming to this, to the Western world, where credit,
Rules.
is the bane of the society. People still struggle to understand the rudiments. Because I know we need to book a session, a consultation, for you to break it down. But for the purpose of this show, in a layman's language, what do you think are the essentials that people need to know in terms of mortgage when making house choices? Especially for first-time home buyers.
The first thing I'll tell anybody that just comes to Canada is get financial literacy. Back home, it's not something we got a lot. Let's be honest, right? Whether it was cash or credit, whatever, we just didn't learn about money. So I would say that we're very blessed that in Canada, we have so many financial advisors. Sit with them, learn something. Then if buying a house is on your mind as you're jumping on the airplane and coming to Canada, as you're landing, one of the first things you should do is build credit. You understand? A lot of people tell you that, I'm scared. I don't want to be safe. I don't want credit. Don't do that. Right? You're not building credit because you're not building credit for basic. You're not trying to borrow. You're just trying to build a credit history in this country. It's very simple. If you don't know me, like you don't know me, and I come to you and say that I want you to borrow me $100,000, right? On what basis will you give me? What will be my track record? You won't give me anything. That's exactly what you are in Canada as a new immigrant. You have no track record, especially if you're coming from Africa. If you're coming from the West, like the US, there's some credit history there, right? If you're coming from the UK. But if you're coming from anywhere where there is no credit bureau, you don't have any credit history to show anybody. So the first thing I would say is get a credit card. Very simple. 1 credit card, 2 credit cards, right? Put a $2,000 limit on it, right? And from that day, you start building credit history, right? Then besides that, in credit history, that's not the only way, but that's one of the fastest ways to build credit history. The next one is, I'll tell you, make sure that if you're staying in a rented apartment, get the documents in line and make sure you don't miss any of your rents, because that's an alternative credit history. You can prove credit history in an alternative way, and rent is one way. You can prove it with your things you pay regularly, your gym membership, auto insurance, those every month. So when we see people who want to buy houses within the first 6 months to 1 year in Canada, one of the things the lender will say, they'll say, you don't have enough credit history, so I need alternate credit. So they'll start asking for 1 year rent history. Well, do you understand? Phone bill, those kind of things. Those things that you should that you pay consistently, because the lender wants to see your character. Does she pay back?
With small money.
Do you
understand? Yeah, is she
with small money?
With small money.
Because they borrow you.
If you miss your auto insurance of $120 a month, why wouldn't you miss $2,000 of mortgage?
Yeah.
So that's the thing about credit. Credit is about what? Credibility. So you have to, as quickly as possible, begin to build it. The longer your credit history is, the better for you. So that's one of the first things I'd say. Then I'd say, if you want to buy a house in this country, learn. I talked about having financial literacy. I'd say start from the big, as in start planning from the get-go. People plan for the house. They dream of the house. They go on Lara's profile, for example, on Instagram. They see beautiful houses. You understand? Wrong.
Like me.
Yeah. So one of the things I'd say is also focus on your career, because what lenders look for is credit, income, and down payment, right? always be guided by those three: my credit, my income, and my down payment. So your career, find something stable, right? If you're looking for a job, is paying you well, don't start looking for the one that they write temp and some kind of language that the lender will look at and say her job is not consistent. Do you understand? It makes it harder, right? Then of course your down payment, start saving from day one. Take advantage of any incentive that you have in your city, but start saving your money from day one. It makes the process smooth. You understand? If you just wake up because Lara posted one beautiful house, now say, oh man, I'm going to buy a house today. You've put me, the mortgage broker, the realtor, in a state of frenzy. We'll be running helter skelter. And you too, buying a house is so emotional, right? It's so emotional. So if you start early, you take the emotions out, you make better judgments, and you have peace. So those are the few things I'll just say, that start like that. And I think you'll be cool.
You cannot miss this episode, though. It is power pack. Hey, honestly, I've learned plenty things right on this seat here. Lara, this is for you.
Okay.
I'll speak from my own point of view. I see a lot of immigrants, make, I won't say terrible choices when it comes to buying houses. But we too they do waiting pass our power. We too they do waiting pass our power.
Yeah.
I would say that it's unfair on you as a human if you feel that you are in a race or in a competition with anybody. Honestly, there was something that there was something that we had a relationship before now,
Yeah,
which has built over the years.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your consistency. I'm grateful for the connection. You didn't break it at any point, and I'm very grateful for that. The first time you took me to your house, I was like, whoa. I think your husband was doing the basement at that particular day. It was like a townhouse.
Thank you.
Yes. And it was looking, very cute, quite small, but it was your space and you were proud of it. And there was no garage.
No. Yeah, we packed no.
There was no garage.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing that, clicked with me. I like very real people. And I felt like, okay, this is a very real person. It's not like it's a bad thing when you have a house with a garage. It depends on what you can afford. But I was happy with the fact that this was a real beginning for this person. And I'm sure you are not in that place anymore. Obviously, you have moved on. But that was like so when you talk about generational wealth, that was like, okay, she has a basis to actually talk about generational wealth. A lot of immigrants tend to, Yoruba will say, afigongofa, what your hand cannot reach, you just use your hand to draw it. What are the common mistakes that immigrants make when buying houses, especially for first-time home buyers? What are the common mistakes?
So thank you for that question. And I'm happy you started with my own case, where, you came to our house and you saw that we started with a townhouse. So using myself, as a case study, I would say that one of the most common mistake that so many immigrants make is going for houses that they cannot necessarily afford based on their income. It's a very sensitive topic.
Yes.
Because I've dealt with so many people. Yeah, I've dealt with so many people. I don't want to say too much out there.
Yes.
I would just say that it is very, very important, because you don't want a situation whereby you're buying a bigger houses and you can't sleep in that house because you have to do multiple jobs just to be able to sustain the house. So we had a strategy when we're buying our house. Our own strategy was that we're going to start small and scale up. So that was why. And we know that if you start big, it will be not that you can't scale up. It will be very difficult for you to scale up. So we knew from day one, when we moved into the townhouse, and we could feel the I don't know how to put it, the countenance of people like, why are you in this house? Like I saw that, right? We saw that, but we knew where we're going to. We knew that it was a plan. There's a loophole in the system that you can key into, whereby if you buy a house, you live in it for 1 year and then you move into another one. As long as the next one you're moving into is still your residential house, you can still pay 5% down payment. So that was what we knew we were doing from day one. So we moved into the townhouse. We stayed there for a year plus, and then we moved into another one, and then we moved into another one. So we just scaled up and put, the previous houses as a rental income. So that way you're able to buy more houses within a particular number of years, which was what we were planning from day one, using just 5% down payments. So that was what we did. And it doesn't apply to everyone. People don't necessarily have to do this. Some people have a bigger family. My son was just about 3. My daughter was 1+, so it worked perfectly well for us. We didn't have a garage, but we're fine. And it was a townhouse condo, so it was very convenient for me because they were packing our snow and doing all that for us. Some people have bigger families. They have teenagers. They have grown-up sons and daughters. They want space for them. Some people are working from home. They want that extra. So whatever works for you, whatever works for your pocket, it's good. But one common mistake immigrants do make is buying houses that they cannot afford. That's like the key thing that I've seen in about 3 years of my experience being a real estate agent here.
Awesome. Because you said something. It's a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Especially for those who are actually in it currently.
Yeah.
This is not a point where you bite your finger and say, had I known. For you to reach, I don't believe there are any mistakes that cannot be corrected, right? This for you to go back to the drawing board and realign your priorities, and do what you feel is needful. Most especially those who have not even, who are still testing the waters, who have not gone into the whole deal. This is for you to know that these mistakes have happened to some people, and it is best that you learn from them. You learn from those mistakes so that you can do better. Not to shun or to mock others, but so that you can make better decisions. That's the purpose of this show.
The thing, I like to say that in retracing your steps, sometimes retracing your step is painful.
Yes.
You might have to downsize from that house.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Do it.
The reason why I say do it is
downsize.
this, right? Be abroad. The simple thing is this: if you get yourself into a credit hole, it only goes deeper. Right?
Absolutely.
There is, except you win a lottery, or maybe you're expecting to get, I don't even know what kind of job you want to get that will fill up the hole you've dug yourself into. So sometimes you tell yourself the truth to say, hey, this was a bad idea from the get-go. Let me retrace my step. I've had people I've advised, come out of this, get into a rental apartment again, then we can visit this in 1 year. I've had clients who tell me they want to buy. I'll tell them it's a buy later situation. Do not buy now with where you are. If you buy now, I promise you in 2 years, you'll be crying. Do you understand? And that's why I said in the beginning that you must remove the emotion from buying a house. If you look at buying a house abroad as something that everybody does, I have to do.
Competition.
I'm sorry, it's not smart.
Yeah.
See, we're not looking, there's something she kept saying, like building wealth. Buying a house here is not for people to come and visit you and say your house is fine.
Bam. That's
It's for you to say, okay, it's for you to, if you cannot sit to the realtor and tell the realtor, hey, Lara, I want to buy a house in Bonavista. Now, if you're watching from Bonavista is a place in Winnipeg, right? I want to buy a house in Bonavista. What do you think this house will be worth in 5 years?
Yeah.
If you can't have that conversation to say, I'm going to put this money, because see, this house we're talking about, $600,000 is a major, converted to Naira. I tell all my clients, it's always convert that money to Naira, whether your ancestors have it. Then you make the decision. Do you understand? Then you make the decision. If they, do you understand? Then you see the weight of what you're about to carry. It's not about, oh wow, your house is, that feels good. It's home. It should feel like home. But again, in 10 years, if I'm going to sell this house, what am I going to come out with, right? Am I really building wealth? Because if you get into an expensive property, it's not just the mortgage that is your problem. The property tax and maintenance is coming.
Yeah,
so that is going to eat into the equity you're supposed to be building over time. Now, for buying more than you can afford, I feel like we're trying to be safe, and it's good. We're trying to be nice. But this is what I'll tell people. I'm being nice, but let's be realistic. see, credit is painful. When you're in debt in this country, it's very painful. So I always tell people that I never go out without a calculator. Always have a calculator in your life to ask yourself, where am I? True. When nobody's watching, where am I? And then do the math. For example, if I'm living in a rented apartment and I'm paying 1,800 and I go to get a mortgage or buy a house that my mortgage is 3,600, I mean, it's a real life.
Yeah.
You're in a hole. Even if you are a doctor, you will feel it.
Yes.
I don't know what you're going to earn that would cover
Cushion that.
So I usually tell people from where, like what Lara did. I'm sure when they moved from the house to the townhouse, the rent. I mean, when they moved from the rent to the townhouse, they probably didn't feel so much. That's how to move. Very gradual.
Yeah.
Very gradual. And you're building equity all the way. You understand? Then one day, what God cannot do does not exist.
And then at that point when you are in the smaller house, you're also developing yourself to be able to earn more, to be able to provide more.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly. That's it. So for me, maybe because I'm in the mortgage aspect, I always tell people run the numbers. Because when I want to pre-approve you for a mortgage, I use your gross. That I've not removed tax, so I've not removed CPP, I've not removed anything. It's the gross. If you tell me, my gross every month is 7K, I'll use the 7K. But is that what comes to your pocket every month?
Exactly.
No. So why don't you use the net? To say, okay, my net is 5K and my mortgage is 2-3. How much remain? You have to ask yourself those questions. Nobody's going to answer it for you. It's after you've answered those questions, you should give Lara a call and say, I want to go and see a house. Because I've noticed that when people meet Lara, I mean, I'm using Lara now. Lara has the realtors.
Yes.
People they meet realtors first. I as a mortgage broker, I'm already crying because they fall in love with a house. And I'm sorry, it's the ladies.
So many times when they come, I always try to redirect them back. Have you spoken with a broker?
But they've seen the house
because
she has walked around the house
because you need to have that discussion first.
They've hosted their friends in their mind and they can't come back from there. Do you understand? So they'll be looking for. It's a very complicated. It's interesting. It's funny now, but it can be quite painful when
it is. It is. You said something very crucial, right? You said retracing your steps can be painful.
Always.
And honestly, just do it. If you feel that it is something that you have to do, it's better you do it. Jennifer, what's the difference like pros, cons, and different variations between a mortgage broker and a mortgage specialist, like a mortgage at the bank? What's the difference? What are the pros and cons, attached to that?
This is the part I don't like talking about. So again, remove the bias because I'm a mortgage broker, so there tends to be a bias. The benefit of working with the broker is, for me, the first one is the education. A mortgage broker will take the time. A good one will take the time to educate you about, end to end what it involves, right? And I think they'd be a lot more on it. No, let me not use that word. They get to the nitty gritty with you, right? Then one other thing besides that is that they have access to several lenders and several products. Because the fact that you don't qualify under your situation, give you an example, someone is in business for self-employed, right? There are lenders who might, ask for some kind of stuff that another lender wouldn't. So we'll move the file from that lender, to another lender, because the mortgage broker does what? Has access to different lenders and different products. Now, for the advisors in the bank, they can be great too. I mean, I have friends who are advisors and they're really good. Unfortunately, they are tied to that bank. The interest of the bank, I'm not saying they're not working in your interest, but think about it. They're working on a salary. Again, I'm being very careful. But again, they're working for a bank. They're restricted to that bank's products, that bank's policies, and all that. So you don't have a lot of flexibility. The mortgage broker does that brings in flexibility for you. And also, I think some kind of ease because they do the legwork. You understand? So I think that's where it comes. That's where I'll go with the broker channel than go with the bank advisors channel.
Okay, so in the case of mortgage specialists that gets paid by the bank, how does mortgage broker make their own money?
We make our money from the commission that the lender pays us. So the for most files, I think most of our files we get paid by lenders. But there's some files that when you put yourself, let me not say, there's some files that are private. They call them private deals, alternative lending. Sometimes it will increase your cost of borrowing because there will be a fee that is a broker fee. Sometimes it might be very small, but in private deals is a lot higher, you know. So that's the only time you pay. I think the pay will come from your pocket.
Yeah.
But you won't actually notice because it comes into, it's part of the cost of borrowing, the closing cost exactly for you. So yeah, that's how you get paid. So that's another beautiful thing about using a mortgage broker. I mean, you can call them. Don't use us anyhow, but you know, our services, most of it to you is free, so you can call morning to night, Sunday. Thanksgiving I worked, so just so you know, there's no real holiday, you know, because again, we're open all the time. But for a month, go to the bank, you book appointments.
I know. I'm coming. I have a final question for you, but I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
I have 2 questions for you. The first, this question is another sensitive, question. I was having a chat with a friend of mine who bought a new house, and when he kept, telling me, "Oh, come to this area, come and buy a house, this, that," me, I'm like, "No, me, I want old house, so, And he was like, "Which old house?" I said, "See, I don't have power like you people. I'm somebody that likes to enjoy my life. I don't want something that will take away all I have, that there's no space for me to do, baby girls of life." So that's my own reality, which is not the reality of most people. And that's okay. We are allowed to be different. So when he kept saying that, I kept insisting. And suddenly one day he just, I went visiting him and just told me, he said, "See, Edna, that thing where you talk now real." He said, "One guy we just moved come here." Sorry, I'm speaking broken English, but let me go back to correct English. So one guy that moved to his axis was coming from an old house, and that because that was his first home, he was able to build equity, was able to gather himself, and when he had enough funds, he could afford this place and moved here. So he felt that was a smart decision. I said, okay, that's something I would also like to, that's a path I would also like to follow. But then there are, pros and cons to these things as well, which I need us to clarify on this show. What would you say, or what are the intricacies between buying an old house and buying a new house as a first-time home buyer?
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. And it's just as I said, it's quite tricky, it's quite delicate, it's quite sensitive still amongst our people. So I've lived in both. I mean, a resale home and a brand new one in a new neighborhood. Personally, I prefer the newer ones, in all sincerity. And I'll give you my reasons. Number one, okay, so first, the pros for the resale. Let me start with that. I mean, the pros for the older houses. Everything is already done. Sometimes basement is already done. You have your backyard done. So you're not spending that extra cost. They've done your landscaping, they've done your fence, your backland, front landscaping. So yeah, I mean, they've done all that for you. So you're not just buying a new house without that and then having to call this one to do the basement, do your landscaping, do your deck, blah, blah, blah. So it's good. But I'll give you my reasons for buying why I prefer a brand new house in a new neighborhood, in a growing neighborhood. Number one, remember I told you that I love the idea of using real estate as a tool or a means to make wealth. Yeah. And one of the advantages of buying a house, a brand new house in a growing neighborhood, and you can also get affordable houses in growing neighborhood because there are townhouses there. And if you check the price of townhouses there with other townhouses in the same in older neighborhoods, it's about the same. So it depends on what you are going for. So let me give you an instance. I have someone, like our family friends, who bought a house in Buena Vista when it was in its phase 1 or 2. They bought it for, I think, 400,000. And then when they were ready to refinance in about 2 years plus, the house was already worth about 650,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, about 650,000. Of course, they did their basement, they did their landscaping, they did their fence. Yeah. But in just that short time, their profits on that house alone was already about 120,000. That you can go and refinance and take it out cash. Yeah, so that's one of the advantages of buying in a growing neighborhood. But they are the money. If you have the money, of course, you can go for it, right? And another reason why I don't know, I just like that feeling of being in a new house for me, because I love that feeling. I love it. Like the difference was clear for me, like coming from the older one to a new house. So it's just a personal thing for me, and also the appreciation ability of buying a house in a growing neighborhood. It appreciates more than buying a house in a neighborhood that it has peaked in terms of appreciation. It has peaked already.
Yeah. So
Because, for instance, some of my clients that bought houses in a particular growing neighborhood, Prairie Point, as at last year, they bought it for 550. Right now, that same house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, is worth 620 if you want to buy it right now. That's about 70K profits, like growth profits. You don't have to do anything with it, just leave it there. Move into the house, it keeps growing. So
an old house does not have a resale value.
It does. It has a resale value, but it doesn't appreciate at the same level.
Okay.
That's it.
So basically for her, what she's saying is that the opportunity for it to grow so fast, I think it will all tank at some point.
Yeah.
But if you come into that neighborhood when the neighborhood is still being built,
Growing.
it's not about the newness of the house now. She's expanded it to a neighborhood. So we need to pick those things.
Yeah.
If the neighborhood is growing, that means there's opportunity for
Appreciation
to come in. So
what's your own contribution? What's your personal opinion?
My own is very simple. There's something she didn't mention. There's something I'm not the expert in that field. They do the house. So they said something. I think someone told me about the roof. They have to change
the roof, the shingles. Yeah.
Shingles every 10 years or something.
25. Yeah.
So if you buy an old house and the roof is already existing, I think that affects things.
Yeah.
A newer one, again, for me, I try not to go into that topic. That's that's for the realtors. But what I always say about whether you buy old or you buy new is buy your own, buy your size. You understand? If you cannot afford the new one, please buy the old one.
Yeah, for sure.
And start building from there. Do you understand? And then maybe one day you who knows, you'll probably buy a lot and build.
Because they'll keep building.
Yeah,
so they'll keep building new houses.
And
so there's no rush.
Neighborhood will keep coming.
Exactly.
The downsides of buying a resale home, I feel like even from a lender's perspective, you will need to do. There's some homes that you just see the area where it is or the age of the home, and a lender would say, hey, we want to go for inspection, we want you to do an appraisal, which is an additional cost for you, when you're buying it as a resale home. Now, for the downside of the pre-construction that she didn't mention, there's the downside.
There's a downside, actually.
The downside, again, I'm going to speak from the financing angle as well, is there's so much uncertainty. When someone tells me, oh, I'm getting a pre-con, Jennifer, I'm looking at you.
Because it takes like a year to build.
And your life can change.
So many things can change.
Time.
Yeah.
Get a better job or not get a better job. Anything can happen. Do you understand?
Their jobs.
Things can happen.
Yeah.
Then even possession timelines can change. So a builder will tell you, oh, Jennifer, don't worry, your house is ready in October. When I hear possession is October 4th, I smile and put November 4th by myself.
Or December.
Because anything can happen. Very rarely I see builders deliver buildings at the set time. And it's not their fault. Think about something like COVID happens.
And even permits from the city.
Exactly. When COVID happened, supply chain went into chaos. So we couldn't meet timelines. And it took them a long time to get. Do you understand? Now, with pre-construction, you have to, I'd say this to everyone. If you want to buy pre-construction, especially if you're an investor, you better work with a very good realtor, because it can cost you all your life savings. If you're in Ontario, for example, I'm sure people know what I'm talking about if you're in Ontario, because someone tells you that, Lara just give a very good example. Someone can do a pre-construction. This is the benefit of pre-construction. You buy a house, and by the time you're possessing the house, don't forget that the house you're buying tomorrow's house at today's price.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for pre-construction, but there's the flip side. So in Ontario, there are a lot of cases where tomorrow's price went down when the market stabilized.
Yeah, it crashed.
And people and the lenders were saying, when it was time to get a mortgage, the lender said, no, that's not the price of the house. The house they told you was 800,000. The lender says no, it's 600,000, and you cover that 200,000 price.
And it has been happening a lot in Ontario and Vancouver.
Those two places, right? So it's So even if you're going to do pre-construction, you have to sit with a realtor that understands that business and can really guide you. Please don't use Google. Don't use your friends. Don't use Google. Don't use your friend. My friend did. My friend did. Don't do that.
Because they won't give you the true picture of their own situation. They don't. Friends, I've noticed that a lot.
things change.
Of
But someone
course,
who is
yeah.
who is an expert in the field, has other colleagues they speak to, they draw knowledge from other places. They can advise you and say, this is what happened in the market 5 years ago. This is the trend in the market. Don't do this, do this. Oh, this pre-construction might not be for you. This one might be for you. Do you understand? Those are the things but pre-construction can be good. I have a client that this was in Calgary, right? Upon possession, the first day, when we put the house on Honest Door, we saw that the house had moved from 620 to about 680. They had gained equity as they were moving the first day.
Whoa.
Because of something Lara said, the neighborhood was still growing. Edry, it was still growing. Do you understand? So that kind of thing, you're like, okay, you're benefiting from that. That might not be the case if you're in Regina. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to work with somebody who is knowledgeable in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Final question for you, Jennifer. There's another intricacies when it comes to mortgage that I've seen a lot of people fall short of, and that's when it comes to interest rates. I've met some people who feel that, oh, I would have done variable. Why did I do fixed? I would have done fixed. Why did I do variable? So all those kind of questions they keep asking themselves. I mean, they can't go back to fix it. Maybe they can go back if they didn't do fixed, but there are so many intricacies that comes with interest rate. I know we cannot, expand on that so much on this show, but on a final note, what do you think people should know when it comes to interest rate? What are the impacts? What are the implications of interest rates on mortgages?
So again, in choosing whether you go variable or you go fixed, and for people who don't understand, I know a lot of people know what it is. Fixed means that your rate doesn't change no matter what's happening in the market. Yeah. But variable means it can change. If it goes up, you pay more. If it goes down, you pay less. You can save, right? I'd say that it still depends on you as an individual, right? We saw a gap between fixed and variable post-COVID. It was a post-COVID thing. It's not normal, right? But if you go historically in Canada, you see that variable has always been lower, a little bit. It is not so much that you say, oh, I will do variable. No. So usually I tell people, this is what it is. This is the rate for variable and this is the rate for fixed. Do you have the risk appetite for variable? That anytime they say Bank of Canada is announcing, your heart is cutting. Do you have that? If you have that, they'll tell you that. What do you mean, Jennifer? I can. And okay, let's go. So I had a client who advised, I told them, and we didn't know what Donald Trump was going to do. And when he did all the things, Bank of Canada things shifted, and Bank of Canada just held the rates. And we're all looking at each other. The guy locked into a variable rate. Do you understand? Because he was sure that the rates would come down because all the economists last year were saying, oh, we're in a rebound market. It didn't happen like that. So it's your personality. I'm not so much of a risk taker. So this is what I'll tell somebody today. If you're going to take a mortgage today, Jennifer, if I was going to take a mortgage today, I'll do something medium term. So 2 to 3 years, I'll lock in a fixed rate today. Do you understand? Because the fixed rates are still lower than the variable rates, right? Even when they stabilize, and because of my peace of mind, I'll lock into a short term. You understand? So short term meaning that by the second, third year, when I want to renew my mortgage, right? Who knows where the variable will be at? If it's better, I will go there, right? I'll take the variable rate. And with variables, you can always lock in at some point. You can lock in, but that's it's even a complicated conversation. I don't want to get into that right now, but that's what it is. What works for you? When it comes to money matters, you have to know yourself. Like, you have to know yourself. You have to know your family dynamics and all that and make that decision. Never go with what worked for another person. If you don't have the mind for variable, why? And again, Edna, it's not so much about the rate. It's about your strategy. When you sit with a mortgage broker, design a strategy that will work for your family. Because sometimes Lara can get a better rate than me, but I'll pay less interest. You understand? Yes, she might be on a 4.5%, and I'm on a 5%. And when she tells me, I'll be biting my finger. But there is a way your mortgage broker can structure your mortgage, your prepayment privileges, that you will pay less over the course of your mortgage. That is what you should be interested in. When we are crazy about rates,
terms and conditions.
Yeah, you say, oh, I want the best rate. We'll give you. Then later. With cheap tea.
Yeah, because really, People are always so fixated on the interest rate, like, oh,
I'm
the one
telling
but there
you.
are so many
full
other
products.
things that
Ask for the
have.
full, and that's what I tell my client. This rate is good though, but know that as you lock in this will happen, this will
Check
happen, this will
this,
happen.
check the, yeah.
Do you understand? There's some mortgages that have very low rates and they come with bona fide clauses. I'll give you an example. The rate is low, our rate is best in the market. There's a term for it, I don't want to use it online, but the term mortgage brokers use. But what's your surname, for example?
Adeshoko.
Adeshoko.
Yeah.
You're in this house, you have this rate. Let's say you have an 18-year-old child and you want to give the house to, you want to sell the house to, right? The lender will tell you can't. Because they give you the best rate. The clause there is that you can't sell to a family member. Because you can't take advantage of whatever is happening in the market and say, okay, let me just pass this to a family member, even if it's your cousin. As long as you guys have those names, the lender will be like, oh, the rate. There's so many. It sounds funny, Abby. Even me, the first in my head, I was like, what is the. But I now realize that in building wealth, that is how we build wealth, right? We take advantage of things like that. My house is this price. My family member wants to buy it. I have control over how much I want to sell it. And I said to my family member, but if I have now bought the house with a mortgage that says I can't do that, and I went for a low rate, what you lose, what you gain is minimal compared.
Yeah.
So always ask, okay, this rate is good. And be excited about low rate. I try to get as low a rate for you, but for me, holistically, is I try to get as much a good product for you than the rate.
And the rates.
You understand? But our people,
No, it has to be low. They don't care. They just want that low rate.
Amazing, amazing. We are rounding up. Your final question is: I know that a lot of people, when they get their house, the first thing on their head is Airbnb. They want to use their basement for Airbnb so that it can cushion the impacts of mortgage payments every month. That's
one kind of real estate investment. What other ways or what other real estate investments do you advise people to get into?
That's aside using the house for Airbnb. There are different options. You have the REIT, that's real estate investments, and it's like real estate investment stocks. Okay. You have that. You have pre-construction investment as well, which is, it has its own pros and cons. Mm-hmm. You also have you can just buy maybe just condos and just use for rentals, or just normal properties for rentals. So that's another side. Real estate investment, there's house flipping, there's land flipping. There is it's just like so many aspects of real estate investments that people can go into.
Awesome. Because I realized that the most common one is Airbnb. So I'm like, this is a great opportunity for people to know that there are also other aspects. I mean, I've heard of the house flipping and all of that. So thank you so much. On a final note, what do you want to say to our audience? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You.
Okay, so this is what I'd say to everybody who immigrants. If you're watching this anywhere you're in the world, if you moved thousands of miles from home, there are mistakes that you shouldn't come here to make. The first one is trying to impress anybody, right? That's what gets us into money trouble. Get it out of your head. We're here to build wealth. There's opportunity in this land that you've come to, and we have the brain, we have the strength. We have everything it takes to succeed. Is to focus on why you came here and not be distracted by all the things. I know it's a little far away from real estate, but it ties in. You can use real estate to build wealth for yourself, to build security for your children. People, what I see with even the born Canadians or Westerners here, what they do is that they use real estate for their retirement plan. You can do that, but you have to start planning from today. Immediately you come, and if you've been here 10 years and you're watching it for the first time, you can still do it, and just do it. Just get into it and take advantage of all the opportunities that this land presents us and avoid problem.
Awesome. Amazing. Your final words, Lara?
So my final words to people, especially immigrants like us, will be that be true to yourself, run your own race, know yourself deeply, and, don't look at what every other person is doing. Just follow your own journey, and and always keep working on yourself, keep evolving. And like I always say, that when like when you were coming to Canada, you came alone. You didn't come with any friend. You didn't come with anybody. So when people always say, hey, what will my friends say? But you came alone to Canada, you know? So don't look at any other person's journey. Just be true to yourself. And Canada, for me, it can be a land flowing with milk and honey, depending on how you see it. And depending on the strategy, but you have to be conscious, you have to be strategic, you have to be consistent. There are like so many things you have to put in place, and you have to have the right mindset as well to make sure that the land will truly flow with milk and honey for you. It can either flow with milk and honey for you, it can flow with debt and so many other things. Yeah. So just always focus on what will make you thrive in Canada, and you will always get it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And the final note, not the Lukuche face. Not the Lukuche face. Do what works for you.
Yes.
You are not on you left rat race from Nigeria. Don't come here and continue rat race. So run your own race. Don't say my friend has a big house. Your friend's income is not your income. Don't say my friend has a small house. Your friend's income is not your income. Go to the drawing board, get your vision plan, draw your plan, have meetings upon meetings. Then they rush for these things. There's no late comer to house buying. Take your time. Take your time and make the best decision. This is your Winnipeg host for the most. My name is Edna. Thank you so much for coming on My Safe Space with Edna. Please remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. But let me say this. Follow Lara on IG. Our Instagram address is laraalaba.realtalk. And for Jennifer, it is Jen Umakalu on Instagram. And for us is MSS_with_Edna. And on YouTube, My Safe Space with Edna. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Please remember to like, share, comment, click on the notification bell so you get notified when I put up a new video. Till I come your way in the next episode, I remain your Winnipeg host for the most. Thank you guys. Bye for now.